The roar of the crowd at the American Music Awards in Los Angeles turned to a stunned silence as Naya's fingers laced through mine, and she tugged me from my seat in the third row straight onto the brightly lit stage. "Everyone, this is Rebecca, my girlfriend," she announced, her voice steady and clear into the microphone after having told the world just that morning in a live interview that she was single and focusing only on her music. My heart hammered against my ribs as flashbulbs exploded around us like fireworks, and I felt every eye in the arena and millions watching at home judge the quiet PR assistant from a conservative Vietnamese-American family who had fallen for America's hottest pop star in secret for the past 2 years. Naya stood tall in her shimmering silver gown, her smile radiant under the spotlights, but I could see the slight tremble in her hand that only I would notice. The presenter fumbled for words, trying to transition, but the energy in the room had shifted from celebration to pure shock. I stood there frozen in my simple black dress, my mind racing through all the promises we had made to keep this hidden. Just hours earlier, Naya had sat in that hotel suite smiling for the cameras and said the words that now felt like a cruel joke. "I am single and happy," she had declared to the entertainment network, knowing full well how it would play into her image as the independent rising queen of pop. Sponsors loved it, her team loved it, and it kept the questions about her personal life at bay. Now here she was rewriting the script without warning and dragging me into the spotlight with her. Backstage, the chaos hit like a wave. Her manager stormed over, his face red, yelling about contracts and image damage, while Naya pulled me into a corner away from the prying eyes of assistants. "I had to do it, Rebecca," she whispered, her eyes searching mine for understanding. "After winning that award, I realized I could not keep pretending anymore. You are the reason I get through the long nights, the tours, the fake smiles." But as her words sank in, my phone vibrated nonstop in my clutch. Texts from my mother in Houston flooded in. "What is this, Rebecca? Call me now. How could you embarrass the family like this?" My father followed with a single message that cut deeper. "We raised you better than this." The weight of their expectations hit me hard, the traditional values they had carried from Vietnam to America now clashing violently with the life I had chosen in secret. Naya squeezed my hand tighter, sensing my panic, but the damage was already spreading. Social media was exploding with hashtags and clips of the moment. Some fans cheered, calling it brave, others lashed out with ugly comments about what this meant for her career, and for me, the nobody who had apparently tricked their idol. We left the venue in a tinted SUV, the city lights blurring past as silence filled the space between us. Naya kept glancing at me, her usual confidence cracking into worry. "I know this is a lot," she said softly, "but we can face it together." I nodded, but inside a storm brewed. Had she considered the price I would pay the family that might turn its back on me, the quiet life I had built around protecting our secret? The moral line we had danced along for 2 years, hiding dates in locked studios, stolen weekends in remote cabins, all to shield her assent and my family from the truth. Now that line was crossed, and I wondered if love justified the betrayal I felt in that moment. The car pulled up to her Hollywood Hills home, but sleep would not come easy. Tomorrow the rail storm would begin, and I had no idea if our bond could weather it. Hours later, as dawn broke, I sat on the balcony staring at the city below, replaying the night. Naya had made a choice for both of us, a bold declaration that shattered the careful balance we had maintained. Part of me admired her courage, the way she had stood there unapologetic in front of the world. But the other part, the daughter who had always tried to honor her parents' sacrifices, felt the guilt rising like bile. My mother had worked double shifts in nail salons to give me opportunities in America. My father had pushed me toward stable paths away from the risky world of entertainment. Now their daughter was the girlfriend of a pop star, splashed across every headline. The cost was already mounting in their disappointed messages, and I knew more confrontations awaited. Naya joined me, wrapping her arms around my shoulders. "We will get through this," she murmured, but her voice held a hint of doubt too. As the sun rose over the hills, I realized this was only the beginning of the decisions that would test everything we believed in. The weeks leading up to that awards night had been a whirlwind of hidden moments and growing tension, but nothing prepared me for how quickly the fallout spread. Naya's team scrambled to issue statements framing the reveal as a positive step toward authenticity, while her publicist fielded calls from every major outlet. I stayed at her house, avoiding my own apartment where reporters had already started camping out. My phone stayed on silent, but the notifications piled up from cousins and old friends back in Houston asking if it was true, if I had really been living this double life. The family pressure that had always simmered beneath our relationship now boiled over in ways I could not ignore. I remembered the first time I met Naya at a small studio session in downtown LA, where I was handling PR for an up-and-coming producer. She walked in with that effortless charisma, her laugh filling the room as she recorded vocals for what would become her breakout single. We connected over late-night talks about music and dreams, but also about the weight of expectations. For her it was the industry demanding perfection and image control. For me it was the traditional path my parents had mapped out: college, a good job, marriage to a man, children to carry on the family name. We started slow secret coffee runs disguised as work meetings, then deeper conversations that turned into something neither of us could deny. Hiding it felt necessary at first. Her career was exploding, and any hint of a same-sex relationship could derail the momentum her label had invested millions in. My family would never understand. They had already expressed concerns when I moved to California, chasing opportunities in entertainment instead of staying close to home. Now those secrets were public and the consequences hit fast. My mother called the next afternoon, her voice tight with anger and disappointment. "Rebecca, how could you do this to us?" she demanded. "We came to this country for you to have a better life, not to throw it away on some singer who uses you for attention." I tried to explain that it was real love, not a phase, but the words fell flat against her cultural expectations, the shame she felt in front of relatives who would gossip at family gatherings. My father was quieter, but his silence hurt more. He simply said, "We need time to process this," before hanging up. The moral dilemma gnawed at me. Was I selfish for pursuing happiness that clashed with their sacrifices, or was it my right to live authentically after years of quiet compliance? Naya faced her own battles. Her manager cornered her in the kitchen the morning after waving printouts of negative press. "This single declaration was supposed to clean up your image, not complicate it," he snapped. "Sponsors are already questioning the optics." Naya stood her ground, arguing that hiding had become exhausting, but I saw the flicker of doubt in her eyes when she thought I was not looking. Later that evening we sat on the couch reviewing the damage. Some fans posted supportive messages calling her brave for coming out in such a public way, but others flooded her socials with hate, calling our relationship a publicity stunt or worse. A close friend from her early days in the industry leaked a private text to a tabloid claiming Naya had planned the reveal for drama. The betrayal stung deep, especially when the article painted me as the manipulative force behind it all. As the days turned into a week, we tried to find normalcy in small acts, cooking meals together, watching old movies. But the outside world intruded constantly. Naya canceled a few appearances to lay low while I fielded worried calls from my siblings who were caught between loyalty to me and pressure from our parents. The psychological toll mounted. I found myself questioning every choice that led us here, the nights I had lied to my family about where I was, the compromises we made to protect her career. Naya would hold me close, whispering that she regretted not warning me, but that the love made it worth the risk. Yet in quiet moments I saw her scrolling through comments, her face tightening at the threats to her upcoming tour. The price we both paid was becoming clear: careers, family ties, and peace of mind, all on the line because of one impulsive decision on stage. I wondered if we could rebuild, or if the damage would force us apart before we had a chance to fight for what we had. The tension escalated when my parents announced they were flying out to confront us in person. The confrontation loomed like a dark cloud, and I knew it would test the very foundation of our bond. The airport pickup was tense as my parents arrived in Los Angeles, their faces set in lines of disapproval that I had dreaded since the awards night. Naya insisted on coming with me, offering to drive, but I asked her to stay home, knowing their first meeting needed to be careful. In the car, my mother wasted no time. "This lifestyle you have chosen, Rebecca, it is not who we raised you to be," she said, her English accented with the weight of years in America, but her values firmly rooted in Vietnam. My father nodded, adding that family honor mattered more than fleeting fame. I defended Naya and our relationship, explaining the genuine connection we shared, but their arguments circled back to tradition, duty, and the fear of what relatives would say back home. The drive home felt endless, each word chipping away at my resolve. Back at the house, Naya greeted them with genuine warmth, offering tea and trying to share stories of how we supported each other through her rise. But the conversation quickly turned confrontational. My mother asked pointed questions about Naya's single declaration and the sudden reveal, implying it was all for attention. Naya responded calmly at first, but I saw her frustration build as they dismissed our love as a phase. The moral conflict inside me raged. Was I betraying my roots by standing with Naya or betraying myself by denying what felt true? That evening after my parents retreated to the guest room, Naya and I argued in hushed tones. I should have prepared them better, she admitted. But I could not keep living the lie, Rebecca. Her words echoed the internal battle I faced between loyalty to family and the awakening of my own identity. The next day the betrayal deepened when Naya's former manager released a statement distancing the label from the personal drama, hinting that her focus should remain on music, not relationships. Sponsors pulled back from a major endorsement deal citing image concerns, and suddenly her next single release was delayed. Naya paced the living room, her voice cracking as she processed the hits to her career, the very thing we had hidden to protect. I held her through it, but the guilt weighed heavy, knowing my family's visit amplified the scrutiny. We tried to find moments of peace walking in the hills, but even their paparazzi lurked, snapping photos that would fuel more headlines. As the week progressed, the societal prejudice became impossible to ignore. Online forums dissected our relationship, some calling it inspiring representation, others spreading rumors that questioned our motives. A mutual friend from my PR circle distanced herself, publicly stating she never knew about us and preferred to stay neutral. The isolation grew, and with it the doubts. Naya questioned if her bold move had been selfish, sacrificing stability for truth. I wrestled with whether staying meant abandoning the values my parents instilled, or if leaving would mean denying the love that had brought me alive. The confrontations peaked one night when my father sat us down, demanding I return to Texas to think things over. Naya stood firm, refusing to let me go alone, but the emotional toll left us both exhausted. In the quiet after they went to bed, we talked deep into the night about the choices ahead. Every decision carried a price: family ties, career dreams, and our shared future, all hanging in the balance. The rising stakes made clear that awakening to our truth came with scars, and I wondered how much more we could endure before something broke. The media storm intensified as tabloids ran stories twisting the awards night into a calculated stunt. Naya's team fought back with interviews where she spoke openly about the courage it took to live authentically, but the backlash from conservative outlets painted her as reckless. My parents extended their stay, turning the house into a battlefield of quiet disapproval and pointed conversations. One afternoon my mother pulled me aside in the kitchen, her eyes filled with tears. "We sacrificed everything for you to have choices," she said, "but this choice hurts us all." The words landed like blows, forcing me to confront the deep cultural divide, the immigrant dream clashing with my reality. Naya faced her own awakening during a meeting with her label executives, who demanded she issue a clarifying statement downplaying the relationship to salvage deals. She refused, standing her ground in a way that cost her an immediate tour sponsor. The sacrifice hit hard as she canceled promo events to avoid further scrutiny. I supported her, but inside the moral dilemma tore at me: was forcing the truth worth the professional ruin? Or should we have stayed silent to protect what we built? A close friend from Naya's early career circle betrayed us by selling old photos from a private trip to a gossip site, framing them as evidence of instability. The leak sparked fresh outrage, and Naya spent hours on the phone trying to contain the damage, her voice strained with anger and hurt. We escaped for a day to a secluded beach north of the city, walking along the shore hand in hand away from the noise. There in the open air, Naya opened up about her fears, the pressure to be the perfect role model, now complicated by our very real love. I shared my own struggles with family expectations, the guilt of potentially breaking their hearts after all they had endured. The conversation brought us closer, but also highlighted the choices ahead. Returning home, we found my parents packing their bags, deciding to leave early, their disappointment clear in every gesture. The goodbye was brief and painful, my mother hugging me tightly while whispering prayers for me to find my way back. That night alone again, the psychological weight pressed down. Naya curled against me, whispering that no matter the cost she would choose me every time. But as I lay awake, I questioned if that choice was sustainable. The societal prejudice followed us in subtle ways: stares at restaurants, canceled invitations from industry events. A moral crossroads emerged when my siblings called, urging me to consider family reconciliation, even if it meant stepping back from Naya temporarily. The debate raged inside me: truth versus harmony, sacrifice versus self. Naya sensed my turmoil, and we talked through the night, weighing options. Her determination inspired me, but the real costs, the lost opportunities, the strained bonds, made every decision feel like a gamble. As another wave of negative press hit the next morning, we realized the fight was far from over, and the price for our awakening might demand even more than we had already given. Months passed and the initial frenzy settled into a new normal, but the scars remained deep. Naya's album sales dipped slightly from the controversy, though loyal fans rallied with support campaigns. My family relationships hung by a thread, weekly calls filled with careful topics, avoiding the elephant in the room. I had taken a leave from my PR job, the association too toxic for clients, and spent days supporting Naya through rescheduled appearances. The internal conflicts deepened as we navigated public appearances together, facing both cheers and whispers. One evening at a low-key industry dinner, a producer pulled Naya aside, suggesting she distance herself for better opportunities. The moment crystallized the ongoing pressure, and she came back to me with fire in her eyes, refusing to bend. The betrayal from her former manager escalated when he gave a podcast interview claiming the relationship had been a distraction from the start. Naya confronted him over the phone, her voice rising in hurt and anger, but the damage spread further, affecting her next project negotiations. I held her as she broke down, questioning if her onstage choice had been the right catalyst or a reckless impulse. My own moral awakening came during a visit to Houston for my niece's birthday, where relatives avoided eye contact and whispered in Vietnamese about shame. The family prejudice stung, reminding me of the cultural expectations I had challenged. Returning to LA, I faced Naya with raw honesty about the toll it took on me. We argued then for the first time, really, the frustrations spilling out in heated words. She accused me of wavering under pressure. I countered that she had not fully grasped the family cost. The fight ended in tears and apologies, but it forced us to confront the sacrifices head-on. Naya proposed a joint statement reaffirming our commitment and addressing the hate, but I hesitated, fearing it would reignite the storm. The dilemma centered on authenticity versus protection, the right path blurred by love and fear. In the following days, we worked through it with long talks and shared vulnerabilities, Naya admitting the single declaration had been a shield she no longer needed, and me acknowledging the strength in her reveal. A turning point came when Naya received an offer for a major festival slot, but with a clause requiring discretion about personal life. She turned it down without hesitation, choosing integrity over exposure. The decision lifted a weight and brought us closer as we planned a small getaway to recharge. Yet the societal judgment lingered in online comments and occasional public encounters. My parents sent a letter expressing conditional support if I considered counseling, the words a mix of love and lingering prejudice. The psychological journey had transformed us both, forcing growth through pain. As we packed for the trip, I reflected on the decisions that defined us, the betrayals that tested us, and the love that endured. The costs had been steep, but in Naya's eyes I saw the same resolve that started it all. We were awakening to a stronger version of ourselves, even as the world continued to challenge our right to exist openly. The getaway to a quiet cabin in the mountains gave us space to heal and plan the next chapter. Naya and I spent days talking through everything: the awards night shock, the family clashes, the career hits, and the personal growth that emerged from the chaos. She held my hand as we hiked trails, admitting that while the reveal brought pain, it also freed her from the constant performance of being single. I shared how the experience had reshaped my understanding of family love, not as blind obedience, but as honest connection. The moral questions that had haunted us found partial answers in our commitment to face the consequences together. Back in Los Angeles, we issued a joint video message addressing the journey with transparency and gratitude for supporters, while acknowledging the hurt caused to loved ones. The response was mixed, but it marked a new beginning, Naya's music taking on deeper themes of identity and resilience. My family slowly opened doors for dialogue, my mother even asking about Naya's latest song, showing tentative acceptance. The societal prejudice persisted in pockets, but our bond had strengthened through every trial. Naya resumed touring with me by her side in a limited capacity, the balance allowing space for my own pursuits in writing about our experiences. As the year closed, we attended a small awards event where Naya performed a new track dedicated to resilience and love. Standing backstage watching her shine, I felt the full circle from that shocking night. The sacrifices had reshaped us, but the happiness in quiet moments like this made them worthwhile. Yet the journey left lingering questions about the balance between truth and protection. In the end, when love demands you destroy everything you knew, was Naya's choice to speak our truth the right one? Or did her decision cause more pain than the love could ever heal, leaving me to wonder if some truths are better left unspoken?